Hello, Gotham Reads. I am Aminah Mae Safi. I am the author of Tell Me How You... I am the author of Not the Girls You're Looking For. My short story is in fresh ink. It's called Be Cool for Once. And I have a forthcoming book called This Is All Your Fault, and that'll be out in October. And it is Empire Records in a bookstore, essentially 3 girls trying to save their dying local indie in Chicago. But Tell Me How You Really Feel is what I will be reading an excerpt from. It is my enemies to lovers rom-com set in LA, and it follows 2 girls on the opposite sides of the social scale as they work together to make a movie and try very hard not to fall in love. I hope you enjoy. Let's start. Chapter 2, Sana, Never Let Go. Sana slipped out of the interview room. She was on the far end of the Roy School's campus, and she'd scheduled herself for the last interview of the day on purpose. There was nobody to run into her, nobody to see her leave, nobody who knew she was considering deferring from Princeton, nobody who knew she hadn't put down her deposit yet. Sana hunched her shoulders slightly. She could hear the way her grandmother, Mamani, would fuss about her posture. She could practically feel Mamani's fingers pinching her shoulder blades. Only Mamani could manage to convincingly nag someone when she wasn't even around. But Sana persisted in her slump. Once she got further away from the room, she'd relax her shoulders and straighten her back. Sana made her way out of the building, out into the early spring sunshine. It was the kind of day Los Angeles was famous for. Sunny, but not hot. Blue skies and a small breeze. Sana inhaled dust and smog and the faintest hint of eucalyptus. She dropped her shoulders, repositioned her backpack. She'd done it. She'd interviewed for a year abroad, and nobody had found out. She probably wouldn't get it. The competition to work in a genetics hospital, actually work, not just file paperwork or shadow a doctor, was fierce. But she'd done it all the same, without anyone being the wiser, including Mom, including Princeton. Sana had taken a few more steps when she caught sight of a figure moving across the lawn, weighted down with several cases and bags. Sana froze for a moment, watching. Rachel Recht. She must have been carrying camera equipment. That's what all those bags and cases were. Sana squinted just to be sure. It really was her. Rachel Recht, a film student so extraordinary that she was granted a scholarship plus special filming privileges within the high-walled hedges of the Roy School. Rachel Recht, who was the kind of girl who vibrated going places and doing things and get out of my way already. Rachel Recht, who hated Sana with every fiber of her being since they had met in October of their freshman year. Sana knew she needed to unstick herself from this position before Rachel noticed her staring. She'd learned to turn away, to not look at Rachel for as long as she wanted to over the years. Learned that Rachel sneered whenever she caught Sana looking. So Sana tried her best to ignore Rachel, ignore her own urge to look, ignore the way her heartbeat kicked up a notch. That was just the leftover thrill from having finished her interview anyway. Sana grabbed both of her backpack straps and pulled, willing herself to turn away and keep moving. And that's when everything went haywire. Sana watched in slow motion as Rachel tripped over something. A sprinkler head popping out from the field. Rachel began to stumble, all that equipment still in her hands. She was either going to land on the equipment and do some serious damage to some expensive cameras, or the cameras were going to land on Rachel and do some serious, and likely equally expensive, damage to her. Somehow, Rachel missed both as she came crashing down onto the ground. But Sana was in motion and halfway to Rachel before she realized she was running. And by the time she realized what she was doing, realized she was running, it was too late to second-guess herself. She slammed chest first into Rachel just as Rachel had recovered and was standing back up again. Sana tried to catch Rachel, she honestly did, but Rachel clawed the entire way down and the two went tumbling over each other. Sana landed on top of Rachel, her arms on either side of the girl's head, their skulls millimeters from cracking into each other. Sana breathed heavily, her legs tangled between Rachel's. Holy Hades! Sana ignored the jolt she felt at the touch. She buried the thrill down deep, easily covered by the choreographed stiffness with which Sana had to hold her body in that moment. Rachel was all softness, her years spent behind a camera rather than on any athletic field. Sana supposed Rachel's arms had muscle from her time spent hauling all of that camera equipment. But everything pressed up against Sana right now was so soft. It was dizzying, and it was terrible. Sana had never wanted to know that Rachel's hair smelled like pineapple shampoo, or that she had faint freckles across her tan cheeks. She didn't need the knowledge that Rachel didn't have pierced ears. They were small and unmarked. That would just make all those daydreams Sana had to tamp down on so much more vivid. "Get off of me," said Rachel, her tone at once righteous and imperious in every one of the worst kinds of us's that Rachel could possibly muster. Sana reeled backwards. She should have been used to it by now, but she wasn't. She lifted herself off of Rachel efficiently enough so that Rachel wouldn't have further cause to yell at her for lack of speed, but not so quickly as to possibly jostle Rachel in the process. Rachel got up immediately. And then, without warning, Rachel shrieked. Sana rushed forward to see if Rachel had hurt her leg and needed support standing. She held her arms out to Rachel's, but the girl slapped Sana's arms away. The sting in her forearms chased away any lingering heat left in Sana's limbs. It was probably better that way. Remember this sting, not the pineapple shampoo. "Stay away from me, you incompetent purveyor of benevolent sexism!" Rachel shoved her, then she ran towards her camera case had fallen. And that's when Sana saw it. The latch to the pelican case must not have been secured. The camera had come tumbling out of it. She covered her mouth with her hand. "Oh no. I'm so sorry. Do you need help?" "Stay back." This, Sana knew, was Rachel's most authoritarian tone. There was probably only one tiny thread of control left to keep Rachel from a full-blown meltdown. The lens in Rachel's hand looked fine, but Sana saw the body of the camera. A huge crack ran down the front on the right-hand side. It was probably cosmetic. Hopefully. Sana stayed still and quiet. Rachel replaced the lens into the pelican case. Then she caught sight of the camera. She whimpered, picking up the camera body gently. She looked up to sneer directly at Sana. "Look what you did! Oh my God, just look!" Sana took a step backwards. This was all her fault. "I'm really sorry." Rachel was scrambling with equipment and taking stock of the damage Sana had unwittingly caused. "Oh, good. So long as you're sorry. Jesus, you nearly destroyed the camera. You're lucky this is just a crack in the plastic that hopefully doesn't affect any of the actual mechanisms or mounting functions. You're lucky you don't have to explain this damage to the head of the photography department like I do." "I'll go explain what happened." Sana didn't want to have to do it, resented that she'd listened to her own instincts and tried to help Rachel in the first place. But she wouldn't run away from the consequences of her own stupidity. This was why Sana made plans and to-do lists and action items. She had to counter bad instincts that had her running over to Rachel. Instincts that were trouble. Alright, I'm going to leave you right there. But thank you so much for watching and listening, and I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're staying safe. And I will catch you on the flip side. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to Gotham Reads for more of your favorite children's books read aloud daily.